Okay, we just listened to a great song. If you've never heard it, I can't play it for you, but this is it right here. You should go look it up. That's the name of it right there. You see it? It's a really good song. I brought up the PowerPoint for chapter 1. Thought we'd just quickly, or week 1, quickly take a look at it. Where do data come from? That always seems like not correct English to me. And when can the numbers be trusted? And so, you can see the notes here to the slides, and, you can kind of get another piece of instruction from this stuff. And if you're watching this video online, I'll have a link in the description to all of these resources. So if you're learning this somewhere else in the world, you could benefit from it. When can a number speak for people we never counted? Who was measured? How were they picked? What was actually recorded? Right? So I want you to understand not just like the mechanics of statistics, but also the logic of statistics. I want you to understand not only how to calculate things, but also I want you to understand why we're doing things a certain way. So who is measured? How were they picked, right? We're talking about sampling here, and what type of sampling method are we using? Simple random sample, stratified, cluster, and then what was actually recorded. And the population versus a sample, we've learned that really well, but again, you could read the notes down there. And the parameter versus the statistic, we've learned that really well. Again, you could read the notes down there. And then a little example here, about what a statistic is, and a proportion. Here's a proportion. And then we talked about nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. NOIR, which is black in French, is how we could remember that, 4 levels of measurement. And, and then an example, like nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio, what is it? And do zeros mean none? And then like some criteria we could use to determine nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. And then randomly choosing things, a simple random sample. And stratified versus cluster. So strata would be like, I want to get a certain amount from each group. So a certain amount from freshmen, a certain amount from sophomores, a certain amount from juniors, a certain amount from seniors. The strata, the groups, are, which class are you in? Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And I'm going to get 25 from each. A cluster would be I divide the population into clusters, and then I choose a cluster and select everybody in that cluster. And so maybe I want clusters, and the clusters are, I don't know what an example is. So we could ask AI for, what's an example?
Girls who like pink, and all the girls who like pink, that would be that one cluster.
Okay, girls wearing pink, and then we choose and the entire cluster would be part of the sample. Convenience versus opt-in. Some of the problems with choosing a sample. And then that story about, the president in 1936. It was Roosevelt, and how sampling the method beats sample size. And observation versus an experiment. An experiment can, prove causality, because you have a treatment that's applied to one group, and then you have a control group. And handshake versus a push. Handshake is not a push. And this is talking about correlation doesn't equal causation. And you could pause and read about that, but that's what we were just talking about. So that's like chapter 1, week 1. I like that slide deck. And in the next video, we'll do week 2.